it's Kelli-Ann back with another Canva quick tip, and this time we're going to take a look at Canva code. Now, we've heard lots about Canva code for educational uses like building study tools with flashcards and interactive games, but I want to focus today on a really neat use case to create forms. So let's first take a look at how we find Canva code on the new Canva homepage. So when you're in this new Canva homepage, you're going to come over here to this left-hand side where you see Canva AI, and then we're going to select code. So you'll see what will you design today, and there's a few options. We're going to select code. Now, when we're prompting, there are a few ideas to keep in mind to get your prompting just right. When we're prompting for Canva code, there's sort of three areas we want to always keep in mind. What do we want to create? In this case, we're going to create a form. And what do you want it to look like? So think about the design colors or features that you want it to have. And lastly, what do you finally want it to provide in terms of information, etc. Now, here's the reason that we were going to take a look at Canva code to create a form. Canva code now allows you to share information seamlessly with Canva Sheets. Okay, so we're back here in our Canva code prompt window. And remember those three things we want to consider. What do we want? How do we want it to look? And what do we want it to do? Now, we don't want to keep these questions in here once we hit the purple arrow, but we're going to have them in here just to remind us about what we need to include in our prompt. So we want to create a form. How do we want it to look? Well, this is going to be to celebrate Education Week next week for our teachers. So I'm going to choose a school color for this purpose. And what do we want it to do? Well, in this case, it's a potluck. So we want to find out who is bringing the dish. It connects to Canva Sheets. So one of the key things in our prompt this time is we're going to say provide spaces to input the following data. So as soon as we use any kind of language like that, collect information, input data, it's going to automatically know that this needs to be put into a spreadsheet. So we're going to provide spaces to input the following data. We want the name, we want the type of dish, we want how many it will serve. Once you have your prompt, we're going to delete the questions from here. So remember now, this is Canva code, and so it is going to take a little bit of time, and we're just going to use the magic of recordings to speed that process up. Okay, so that took a couple of minutes to generate this code. Now, what you can see here is a preview. So we can test it out. We can preview what it looks like, whether or not we like what it's provided for us. So in this case, remember, I asked for it to be vibrant with green and white school colors, and I asked it to input data for the name, the type of dish. Now check this out. We only said the type of dish. Canva code thought of including a drop-down with the type of dish to choose from. How many will it serve, and any allergies or special ingredients, and then a sign me up. Now, I think I forgot that maybe we need to have some contact information. A name might not be enough, so we can always prompt over here on the left-hand side to make any changes or edits. Again, we'll just hit that purple arrow and let it do its magic. Now, a few important things to note here. First of all, you can see up here it says version 2, and notice this data piece where it's already connected to a spreadsheet. On the left-hand side here, it says Canva code can now store data. So this is fairly new, and it didn't require me to do anything besides just indicate that there was data to be collected in this particular Canva code. So let's test this out. So I'm going to sign up for a dish, and remember I asked for it to collect information. Now, you know what I realized? I don't actually have a spot to put the type of the recipe in that I'm going to bring. I have the type of dish, but not the exact item. So we need to do another edit to our form. So again, we can just interact with it on the left-hand side. All right, so here we go. We've got version 3. Now here's a really important detail. We can actually go back and see all of our previous versions, but the data is going to be collected for each version. So if we end up using version 3, that's the data sheet we want to connect to. So let's try and input some information here and see how well our Canva code form works. Okay, so I've input my information here, and I'm going to just click on sign me up. So look at that. It says I've been signed up, and I asked the Canva code to provide users with a list of what's already been signed up for, but not to include personal information. So you can see that it's done a great job of that. It's even included a little caution sign. This dish includes dairy. There are a few ways that we can share this form now that has been created using Canva code. We can use it in a design by clicking on Use in a Design. Currently, there's 4 options available. You can create this as its own website. You can add this to a presentation. So if you wanted to embed it in a school newsletter, for example, you can create this as a doc, or if you have a collaborative space like a whiteboard, you can include it there as well. I'm going to choose website because this is really exciting. When you choose website, it's going to open it up into a new project. And here is something amazing about this. Now I can add any elements or design features that I want. So we can go ahead and add text. Okay, so once you have your design ready and you think this is a great website to publish, we're going to click on Publish Website. Now you can see here that we have a site domain, but you can choose the subpath. So I'm going to call this Ed Week Potluck. I'm going to click on Done and Publish. Now I have a unique URL that I can share across multiple platforms, including email. I could add it to a newsletter, etc. And you can see your website now. So here we go. We have our website launched with our form. So let's just test it out again. You can see here that our website is completely interactive, exactly the way we wanted it to. It's giving me my feedback already that there's already this dish that has been signed up. And it gave me a little note, if you saw it at the bottom, that said, you've already signed up for this. So let's head back to our homepage so we can figure out how to connect the data that we've just collected. So here we are at our Canva code site where we've already been interacting with this particular sign up sheet. And you can see here it says version 3. We're going to click on this data tab. And it's going to automatically connect this to a Canva sheet, which will open up in a new tab. Look at that. Our information has been collected. Sometimes users get a little bit lost when they're trying to find their previous code information. So if you have already created some code, you're going to come to the homepage, click on Canva AI, you're going to select code, but then you're going to choose this little tab option for open menu. And now you can see that my previous code chats are stored here. So I can go back and I can edit them or work on them anytime that I want. Or if I decide that I'd like to start collecting the data and connect it to a sheet, then I can access it at that point as well. You can also see from our home page when we select on projects that my Canva code as a website is saved here, and the sheet that's connected to it is also saved here. So I could go ahead and edit the title of this. When I open it, there we go. We've got our connected data. Isn't that great? All right, we took a look at a really specific use case to use Canva code today. There are so many ways that you could use Canva code to create a form. I've spoken with librarians who've thought about a way to collect the information from students about the books that they're reading so that they can easily connect that to a spreadsheet and enter students into monthly draws for the numbers of books that they have read. Doesn't that sound great? Thanks for joining me today. I can't wait to see what you're going to create using Canva code, connecting to Canvas sheets. Bye-bye.